Most people saw the gardens as perfect. Wide green lawn, old oak trees, sunlight falling through leaves like something out of a postcard. I smelled the problem before I saw it. Wet earth. Sour. Trapped water where roots were supposed to breathe. My boots sank into the grass as I walked a slow circle around the oak that anchored the conservatory gardens. From the terrace, it looked historic. Solid. Safe. On the ground, it felt wrong. 2 tons of wood sitting on soaked soil, just waiting for one strong storm to decide the future for everyone standing under it. "Brooks," a sharp voice called out, "tell me you're not glaring at the trees again." I didn't turn right away. I knew those heels. Fast. Precise. One step, always half a beat off, because Zara moved too fast for her own body. She came into view holding a clipboard tight against her chest. From 10 feet away, she looked polished. The kind of woman donors trusted without question. Up close, the cracks showed. Dark shadows under her eyes. Makeup packed heavier than usual. A small line near her mouth she kept smoothing with her thumb like she could erase stress if she tried hard enough. "The ground's saturated," I said, kneeling and pressing my fingers into the soil. Water shimmered up around my knuckles. Old drainage lines collapsed. Roots are sitting in soup. One bad storm and this tree shifts. Her jaw clenched. She didn't blink, but her shoulders dropped just a little, like she'd been holding her breath all morning. "We have 3 weeks until the Midsummer Gala," she said. "Mayor, donors, press." "And Kennedy Foster," I added. Her eyes flicked toward the admin building. "Just for a second. Enough to confirm everything." "She wants it perfect," Zara said carefully. "No," I replied. "She wants control. If something goes wrong, she blames you. Replaces you." Silence stretched between us. Then Zara nodded once. "Fix it," she said quietly. "Whatever it takes." The next few days were mud, heat, and honest work. Trenches cut, pumps running, clay fighting every shovel. We rerouted water, replaced collapsed pipe, forced the ground to behave again. That's when Kennedy showed up. White blazer, clean shoes. Standing on the terrace like dirt was a personal insult. "This looks unacceptable," she snapped. "There's a mixer tonight." "I can cover it," I said. "From 10 feet away, it'll look like lawn." Zara's relief hit her face before she could hide it. "Thank you," she said softly. "Just coffee," I replied. "Black, no sugar." Late afternoon bled into golden light. I was testing irrigation pressure near the rose garden when the admin door opened. Zara stepped out in a red dress. Not flashy. Clean lines. Hair pinned up. A few strands loose like she'd given up the fight. She checked her reflection in the greenhouse glass, smoothed the fabric once, then saw me standing there covered in dirt, hose in hand. She smiled, unsure. "Do I look okay?" she asked. "I have a date." I took her in the way I always did with a job site. Details first. Tight shoulders. Phone held too tight. A woman dressed for something she didn't want. "You look expensive," I said. She laughed nervously. "Is that good?" "Depends who's paying." Quote. She told me about the accountant. "French restaurant, stable, safe." I shook my head. "You're not a French restaurant woman." Her brows lifted. "Oh? You're a dive bar tequila woman who pretends she likes French food." She crossed her arms, but the smile stayed. She turned to leave. The impulse hit fast and reckless. I squeezed the hose trigger. A fine mist arced into the air, sunlight catching it, throwing a soft rainbow between her and the gate. She gasped, jumping back, hands up to protect her hair. "Brooks!" "I kept it light," I said. "Water dries. Bad dates don't." "You're insane," she said. I shut the water off and stepped closer, stopping just outside her space. "We have a problem," I said. "Storm's coming in faster than expected. If we don't secure the rigging tonight, that oak sheds a limb." Her focus snapped sharp. "You want me to help?" "I need eyes on the ground," I said. "Cancel the date." She stared at her phone, then tapped the screen. "Canceled," she said. "If I ruin these heels, it's on you." Quote, "I'll carry you over the puddles," I replied, and meant it. She came back dressed for work, sleeves rolled, boots on, first aid kit under her arm, no announcement. Just action, she taped my knuckles without looking at me. That's not your job, I said. It is if you're bleeding on my lawn. We worked until midnight. Wind picked up. Cables sang. Zara held the light steady, never wavering. When I came down, shaking, she held water to my mouth so I didn't spill it. If you fall, she said quietly, I don't know what I'd do. I'm not falling. That's not an answer. I promise, I said. When it was done, the tree stood quiet and strong. Thank you, she whispered. 2 days later, my foreman ran up holding his phone. Boss, he said, you need to see this. A viral post. Photos of our trench, claims of danger, donors panicking. Across the lawn, Kennedy Foster was already walking toward Zara with a tablet raised like a weapon. And I knew, right then, this was about to get ugly. By the time I reached Zara, Kennedy was already halfway through tearing her apart. Donors are pulling out, Kennedy said, voice loud enough to draw staff from inside. They think this place is unsafe. That post is everywhere. It's misinformation, Zara replied, steady but tight. The trench is temporary. The oak is secured. I don't care what your contractor says, Kennedy snapped, flicking her hand in my direction like I was furniture. I called the city safety inspector. If he finds one violation, this gala is done. She walked off without waiting for a response, heels clicking like punctuation marks. Zara stood frozen for a full second. Then she exhaled, slow and controlled, like she was forcing herself not to shake. She can't do that, she said. She already did, I replied. Her eyes met mine. No panic, just calculation. The inspector will see cables and mud and shut us down to be safe, she said. Even if we're right. Not if we show him the math, I said. My foreman, Lionel, stepped closer. That post didn't come from outside, he said quietly. Angles from the admin terrace. Staff only access. Zara's spine straightened. Can you prove it? Quote. Lionel nodded. If it came from inside, the network remembers. Come with me, she said. She moved fast, unlocking doors like she'd done it 1,000 times. T closet. Security office. No drama, just authority. Lionel pulled logs, matched timestamps, traced the post to a static internal address. Assigned to one office. Kennedy's. Door logs showed her badge access. Camera still showed her holding the tablet in the hallway, timestamp glowing in the corner like a signature. Lionel printed everything and slid it across the table. Zara stared at the pages, fingertips pressing into the paper. Police? She asked. Not yet, I said. If we go public now, she turns it into chaos. We beat her with process first. Zara nodded once. Okay. That afternoon, the inspector arrived. Bill Miller, clipboard, tired eyes. The kind of man who liked saying no because it kept people safe. Kennedy hovered beside him like a shadow. I stepped forward before she could speak. Brooks Morales, I said, extending my hand. Certified arborist. I have the safety plan ready. Quote. Miller blinked, then took the folder. I walked him through it calmly. Soil failure, drainage relief, load reduction, dynamic cabling, numbers, diagrams, no guesses. Lionel measured distances without being asked. Verified slopes, showed the temporary bridge. This is solid, Miller said after tugging a bolt. Kennedy opened her mouth. Miller raised a hand. I'm inspecting safety, not aesthetics. He signed the permit. Event approved. Zara's shoulders dropped like someone had cut a wire holding her up. She stepped into me without thinking, arms around my waist, forehead pressed to my chest. I held her, lifted her just enough so she could rest instead of brace. We did it, she whispered. We're not done, I said. Gala night came anyway. Lights, music, dresses. Zara moved through donors in silver, smiling like her life depended on it. I stayed near the edge, watching the sky. You're hiding, she said, handing me a champagne flute. I'm monitoring. She leaned in close. I didn't go on the date. Be careful, I warned. I'm tired of careful, she said. Her hand rested on my chest like a decision. Thunder rolled 3 hours later. Wind hit hard. Tables tipped. Guests screamed. We moved fast, clearing paths, shouting directions. The oak held. But the old trellis didn't. It snapped loose, swinging toward the path where Zara stood. "Zara!" I yelled. I hit her full force, driving her into the grass as the trellis slammed down where she'd been standing. Rain soaked us, mud everywhere. "I'm fine," she said, breathless. I kept my body between her and the wreckage. The tree held. She laughed, wild and relieved. 2 days later, Zara called an emergency board meeting. Evidence laid out. Logs. Photos. Emails. No room to argue. Kennedy tried. Failed. She stormed out before the vote finished. When the room emptied, Zara finally let herself breathe. "Thank you," she said. "You held the line," I replied. "So did you." Weeks later, I was packing up my truck when she walked out with 2 coffees. "Black," she said. "No sugar." She handed me a contract. 5 years. Clean. Approved. I looked at her instead. "You sure?" Quote. "I'm sure." Quote. I pulled her in and kissed her once. Simple and honest. Behind us, the oak stood steady, rooted, ready for whatever storm came next. The weeks after the board meeting were quieter, but the tension never fully left. It lived in small things. A pause when Zara saw a new email. The WE staff lowered their voices when they passed her office. Kennedy was gone, but the damage she tried to cause still needed time to fade. I stayed on site more than the contract required. Not because I had to, because Zara was still carrying too much alone. Most mornings, she found me by the oak before the grounds crew arrived. Coffee in hand. Boots already dirty. "You don't have to be here this early," she said one morning. "I know," I replied, "but I like seeing things before people start pretending." She smiled at that, real this time. We didn't talk about the kiss, not at first. It sat between us, quiet but heavy, like a tool left on the table that neither of us wanted to move. One afternoon, she walked up beside me while I checked soil moisture readings. "They're still watching me," she said. "The board, the donors." "Let them," I said. "You didn't fold." She looked at the oak. "Neither did you." That night she asked me to walk her to her car, not because she was afraid, because she didn't want to be alone. The parking lot was empty, lights buzzing overhead. "Are we being stupid?" she asked. "Probably," I said, "but not for the reasons people think." She laughed softly, then she reached for my hand. After that, it wasn't a secret. We didn't hide, but we didn't make a show of it either. Lunches turned into shared silence. Late evenings turned into long talks on the tailgate of my truck. She told me about growing up poor and learning to never need anyone. I told her about storms I misjudged and trees that fell anyway. One evening, as the sun dropped low, she looked at me and said, "I'm scared of losing this place." "Then stop carrying it by yourself," I said. She leaned her head against my shoulder. "That's the hardest part." The storm came back a month later, worse than the first. Heavy rain, long wind. This time, there was no panic. Systems worked, drainage flowed. The oak moved but held. Zara stood beside me under the shelter, watching rain pour down. "It trusted you," she said. "No," I replied. "It trusted the work." She smiled and kissed me, slow and certain. After that, things shifted. Staff noticed. Not gossip, respect. The kind that comes when someone stands their ground and doesn't apologize for it. One afternoon, Zara handed me a small envelope. "I bought a house," she said. I blinked. "Congratulations." "It's near the river," she added. "There's a huge oak in the yard." I laughed. "Of course there is." She hesitated. "I don't know how to take care of it." "I do," I said. She met my eyes. "I know." That night, we stood under that oak, branches moving softly overhead. "This one's healthy," I told her. "Deep roots." She squeezed my hand. "So are you." I realized then this wasn't just about trees or storms or power plays. It was about choosing someone who stayed when things got heavy. And I wasn't going anywhere. The house by the river changed things. Not in a dramatic way. No big speeches, no sudden decisions. Just space. Quiet. Room to breathe. Zara moved in slowly, like she didn't trust calm yet. Boxes stayed unpacked for weeks. She slept with her phone on the nightstand. Volume up, like she was waiting for another crisis to prove she didn't deserve peace. I came by after work most evenings. Sometimes with tools. Sometimes with nothing but time. The oak in her yard was old. Older than the one at the conservatory. Thick trunk. Wide crown. Roots that had clearly fought for their place and won. She scares me a little, Zara admitted the first night we stood under it. Good trees should, I said. Means you respect them. She leaned into me, head against my shoulder. I spent so long proving I could handle everything alone. You did, I said. You just don't have to anymore. The gala fallout finally settled. Donors returned. The board backed off. Zara's name stopped being spoken in whispers and started being said with confidence again. One evening, she came home late and dropped her bag by the door. I turned down a promotion today, she said. I looked up from the sink. Why? Because it would have taken me away from this place, she said, and from you. I dried my hands slowly. You don't owe me that. She stepped closer. I know. That's why it matters. The first real fight came a week later, over nothing. A missed call, a long day. Old habits flaring up. I don't need saving, she snapped. I never tried to save you, I said back. I stood next to you. Silence filled the room. Then she sat down hard on the couch, face in her hands. I don't know how to do this, she said, not needing control all the time. I knelt in front of her. Neither do I, but we can learn. She looked up at me, eyes wet but steady. Promise you won't disappear when it's hard. I don't run from storms, I said. You know that. That night the river rose with heavy rain, not dangerous, just loud, constant. We stood on the porch watching it. I almost went on that date, she said suddenly. I know, I replied. She smiled faintly. I'm glad I didn't. Months passed, seasons shifted. The oak held through wind and heat and rain. One morning, Zara handed me coffee on the porch. Black, she said. No sugar. I smiled. You remembered. I remember important things, she said. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small key. I want you to have this, she said. Not because you work here, because you belong here. I took it, chest tight. Later that day, we planted a young oak near the riverbank. Small, fragile, protected by stakes and ties. This one will need help, she said. Most do at the start, I replied. She squeezed my hand, but not forever. As the sun dropped low, I looked at her and understood something simple and true. Love isn't about stopping someone from leaving. It's about giving them a reason to stay. And this time, she didn't ask if she looked okay, she already knew.